Triple J's Hack program is launching an investigation into body image today and is calling on young Australians to fill out a questionnaire on how social media trends affect body image and eating disorders. It's an issue that impacts people of all ages. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Mia Finlay, who's an eating disorder recovery coach and an ambassador with the Butterfly Foundation. Mia, thank you. And can we start by how common body image issues are?
Well, I can speak to this not only as an advocate and somebody who works in the space, but somebody who battled an eating disorder myself, that across the board in the 8 years that I've been in the eating disorder space, it is one of the most common issues that people report, regardless of demographic, background, age, gender identity. It is one of the most common symptoms of an eating disorder is distressing body image experiences.
Yeah, it's a complex issue, but as you say, images are part of that. When I was growing up, it was magazines getting a really bad rap. Now we have social media. Is it worse considering it's a flood of images now?
Absolutely. It's also accessibility. When we were just being inundated by photoshopped, altered images from magazines, it was a little bit more intentional in terms of how we interacted with it. We now have our phones on us 24/7. It's an absolute bombardment of images that our brains can't process as quickly as we're interacting with them. It's very hard to analyse, is this face tuned, is it photoshopped, is this realistic? And that's kind of setting a standard that is very, very hard to interfere with. It's just so quick and so constant.
And I think a lot of people are aware that these images are edited. It's very easy for anybody to do that. And yet it doesn't seem to cut through, though, really in their conscious thought about how they then compare to that image.
Absolutely. It's absolutely impossible for us to be able to deconstruct and understand the origins and the purpose and intent of every single image that we're seeing. So it kind of creates this standard that we don't really question, and it's just becoming more and more extreme. On Instagram, on TikTok, these body and beauty image standards are becoming that much harder to attain, but they're so common, they're so easily accessed by everybody.
What are the signs that someone might be falling into a bad space when it comes to body image? Are they more likely to recognise that themselves or someone else? And is it family or peers that can recognise that?
I think it really depends on the individual. I can kind of speak to my own experience, and I've heard this a lot with clients and with people in the eating disorder recovery community, that very often it is flagged by outsiders in terms of your experience. So with my family, they were one of the first groups to kind of bring to my attention how hyper-focused I was on my appearance, and that whether or not I was going to have a good or bad day really depended on how I felt about what I saw in the mirror. So it's very important to gently and responsibly raise these issues. If you can see somebody who is heavily preoccupied and really immersing themselves in, social media interaction in terms of, the accounts that they're following and the impact that's having on their sense of self, and how preoccupied they are with their reflection and their own image.
So Mia, how did you come back from where you were, and is it an ongoing process?
So for me, I really had to hit rock bottom, which is not a necessity. You do not need to get to that stage to recover. Unfortunately, with how treatment has been positioned for a long time, that tends to be how we get people to a point of being able to recover, but that is not a necessity. If somebody could have intervened 2 or 4 or 5 years earlier on reflection, I would have been very happy with that outcome versus being 6 years into the process and then trying to claw my way out of an eating disorder. So it is absolutely possible for anyone to get into this process. However, they can do that via treatment or otherwise. And there is absolutely the possibility to live beyond this illness, to live beyond your behaviours, your unhelpful thoughts, and to live a really free and flexible, wonderful life.
So Triple J's Hack program is launching this crowdsourced investigation into body image concerns, eating disorders and social media. What do we need to uncover in this space?
I think we really need to understand the connection between our time spent on social media and what that's telling us about what bodies should look like, what faces should look like, and more importantly, what does that say about who we are as people? Do we really value image? Do we really value size and shape? When my friends come over to catch up, I don't make them get on a set of scales or make sure they can take the perfect selfie before we spend time together. So why are these the parameters that we're putting on ourselves, and why is this sort of the social construct that we're living in? So I think it's going to be really important, not only for the eating disorder sufferer population, but for all of us, because we know too well statistically that disordered eating, body image dissatisfaction reaches people far beyond that eating disorder sufferer population. So I'll be really interested to see people's feedback about how positively they are engaging with social media versus the negative impacts, and what we can all do to make sure that we're sitting more so in the positive category than the negative.
Mia Finlay, eating disorder recovery coach and ambassador with the Butterfly Foundation. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.